I've often thought about what would the perfect player look like.
It might play the game in a completely different way from the way that we play it.
As a chess player, you want to know more about chess, you want to get deeper, and there is so much still to learn.
AlphaZero played a match against Stockfish, which was the strongest computer that we all knew, and it won the match.
And all of a sudden I thought, wow,
Does this really work? How does it know how to do it?
I started thinking, oh, it's quite interesting. And there's just a couple of games that went bang.
And these were very exciting games, very attacking games, giving pawns away right at the early stages of the game. The other computers were thinking, well, that's too early.
AlphaZero doesn't have any rules. It learns through experience.
Really didn't think there was room for this huge attacking style, never in my wildest dreams.
There's even more depth than we thought in chess.
It's like discovering the secret notebooks of some great player from the past.
It explains AlphaZero's strategies.
How does AlphaZero think? AlphaZero blows apart what traditional engines are doing.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this stream again for round 4 of the Caplin Online British Championship. Well, we've got quite an exciting day today. Hello, Natasha, welcome.
Hi, welcome, Matthew. Lovely to see you. We have some good matches lined up, and the top board tonight is Grandmaster Michael Adams against Grandmaster Matthew Turner.
Indeed. So, Matthew's got a tough pairing there, especially with Black against Mickey. Matthew's incredibly solid as white, slightly more up and down as Black. So Black against Mickey is always going to be a tough one. One very nice matchup is on board 2, where Matthew Wadsworth, very promising young English international master from plays for the Guildford Club, is playing against qualifier Peter Finn, who we've been following all since the qualifiers. And Peter's had a very fine run. He drew with Bogdan from a position of strength, very good position in actual fact, and then beat Grandmaster Mark Hebden yesterday, a few days ago rather, last round in some very good games there. Board 3, we've got Gregor Tocek, who's drawn with Mark Hebden as well. He is playing Ameet Ghasi, who lost to Michael Adams in round 3. And then a few other notable pairings. We've got Thomas Villiers, Hack Attack, against Bogdan Lalic. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yes, the crowd have already been asking about that game, so we will definitely feature that.
And we also have Alex Goss against William Claridge Hansen, who's been playing extremely well. Won a great game in round 1. Really lovely attacking game with 2 rooks and a bishop hanging. Nearly held Michael Adams in round 2. And then played a very good game against Zoe Varney in round 3. So another slightly crazy attacking game. So yeah, really looking forward to that one. Katarzyna Toma against Mark Hebden is a pretty tough pairing on board 10. Katarzyna's very, very solid as white. A lot of draws against good players, so Mark's going to have his work cut out there. And we've got a few players who've been playing actually both the women's event and the open event. We've got Tashika Aurora and Zoe Varney, who are both doing very well in the men's event, in the women's event, and they're also taking part in this event.
And also Julie O, actually, on the next board, Thomas Wills.
Oh, that's right.
Julie O.
That's exactly true.
Yes, and we've got an interesting match between 2 juniors I just spotted. Between Jude Shearsby and Zoe Varney. That's a very good one.
And then finally, we've got 2 qualifiers again. Oscar Idle against Chris Finn, so who's brother of Peter. So all, some pretty good games, I think. So let's have a look where we are. 4 minutes to go still. We're going to see how all that goes. It was quite. We covered the women's event this morning. It's pretty exciting. Ketavan Arakamia Grant is running away with it at the moment with 4 out of 4. But
she can be caught by Zoe Varney tomorrow.
Indeed.
who is on
Half-
3.5.
3.5 and half a point behind. So yeah, still going quite well. And yeah, men's competition still tough. We've got Michael on 3, Matthew Turner on 3, then Matthew Wadsworth and the big surprise qualifier Peter Finn on 2.5, and then a whole row of people on 2 points. So it's going to be a while before anyone breaks free completely. But yeah, it's going to be good to watch. So let's have a look. Now I've got an incredible special command from the British website that should hopefully enable me to get all the games in one go. So we're going to see whether that works. And then let me just also get my set of commands. I've got my chess.com commands, the examine analysis command, which brings up an analysis board, very important. Okay, so I think we're kind of ready to go. Hey, Mark. Hope everyone's had a good Christmas. It's
Good evening, Mark.
I've actually been reading a lot of chess books actually because I've got to do some. I've got to finish off my my book review for New in Chess.
Which books are you reviewing this month?
Let me have a look. There's an interesting book by Tim Harding, who actually saw in
yes, in the seniors event.
In the seniors event,
65s, wasn't he?
Indeed, yeah. So he wrote a book on Steinitz's time in London, which is quite interesting. Then there's a few books on the modern Benoni, and there's also quite a few puzzle books as well. So I've been going through quite a few puzzle books, trying to see how difficult or hard they are, and finding them rather hard. Actually, it's always a little bit shocking when the author says, "Okay, these are pretty easy," and then you just end up struggling with them. So I'm not quite sure what that says. Hopefully, it's they've underestimated the difficulty, and it's not that I'm just losing all my all my chess power. That would be rather sad. Okay, I'm going to try first time. Just try these commands. Can see that a few of the British players, Ameet Ghasi, Daniel Fernandez, they've been warming up. So that's let's have a look. Let me just share my screen now, and let's get onto it. Share my screen. Chess.com. There we are. Make that big and small. So this was Luck is My Skill, Daniel Fernandez playing against Kay Florian. Now it's quite funny because Kay Florian won this game, but he lost to Ameet Ghasi in the round before. So who is in better form here? Yeah, no, real chess puzzles. So well positioned in actual fact. There's a few books by Gambit and out there. One by John Nunn on endings. One by a person who I've played actually, Martin Kravitz, who is a GM from I think from Latvia actually. And he's so he's brought out a puzzle book as well. And there's also some. It's actually started, hasn't it?
Yes, so, Michael Adams has played 1 d4 against Matthew. I don't know if I would even have predicted that move. I might have predicted e4.
Indeed,
yeah. I guess he does all sorts.
Well, Michael, is still really an e4 player. I mean, he started off, always as a 1 e4 player. He's been playing a little bit more, but normally, I always had the feeling that he played it against somewhat weaker players than Matthew.
Well, I'll tell you what, it looks like Matthew hasn't predicted it because he's having a little bit of a. Now he wants to reply to one.
Indeed. It's. I mean, it surprises me a little bit as well because Matthew often plays sort of modern systems, and it doesn't really matter whether you go d4 or e4, you get the same thing. But
I don't think he especially likes facing d4. I don't think I'm giving anything away because I'm so unsure about whether I'm remembering that correctly. But I have a feeling he probably prefers e4 to d4. So maybe it's a good choice from Mickey.
Well, okay. So Matthew's playing the Slav, which is an interesting choice because.
Yeah. A 1d4, I guess, makes his opponent feel like he wasted 24 hours prepping. Because, of course, for this game, you actually, it's really the only one where you're going to have significant prep time. Although, whether the players spend their Christmas prepping, I don't know.
It's
And actually, Matthew Turner's parents are very well known on the chess circuit as well. They're very lovely. And so they will be, I'm sure they will be following Matthew's game, and then you often see them at the 4NCL.
Yeah, now the Slav is an interesting choice from Matthew, because in actual fact that is actually the opening that Mickey plays as black. So he was always a Nimzo Indian, Queen's Indian player, but he did start playing a fair amount of Slav, so he should really know this quite well. So this is going to be an interesting one. He's played Michael's played the slow Slav with 4 E3. So you often I mean, the knight c3 is the more aggressive line, but e3 has got very popular, and actually I've started playing it as well with very good results as well. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Let's have a look at how Wadzi against Checkmate a lot has started. Ooh, well, Peter Finn, he's grabbed a quick pawn on c4, and Matthew Wadsworth.
It looks like he's trying to hold on to it.
Indeed. This is now I'm not really up to date on this theory anymore. I have played this line as black, but a very long time ago, and I can't actually remember. Well, but Peter is whipping out his moves there, so this is clearly known stuff.
It looks like he has prepped this. Maybe he was expecting it.
Oh, good Lord, yes. Actually, I do know this actually, but this is a very, very sharp line for black. But it's been played by a lot of good players. So Bishop G4 attacking the pawn on E2. But White's normal move here is to play knight takes C4. There we are. And then if we let me just get an analysis diagram up, because this could be very interesting. Very interesting line. It's led to some. If you get your move orders wrong here as black, ow, F3.
F3, is that normal?
I have never seen it before, but let's have a look. F3, yeah, this is known. 33 games in my database, and who's been playing this as White? David Howell, Luke McShane against.
Okay, we should know it.
Oh, and Matthew Wadsworth as well. He's also played it against Graham Buckley before, so this shouldn't come as a surprise to Peter. Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, one of the sharpest lines was to go knight takes c4, and then after bishop e2, I think it was knight e5, hitting f7, and this has led to a lot of very sharp games. But f3 is not something I knew, to be honest, but yeah, Matthew's played it before, and a lot of Grandmasters have played it as well. So yeah, bit of a theoretical struggle, this one. Oh yeah, we're carrying on. It's going fast. So bishop h5, knight takes c4, knight takes c4. No, knight takes c4. Funnily enough, I've never seen before here. We had e5 in this position immediately. We've had queen d4 check, but I haven't actually seen knight c4 before. So, but Peter has really played this very, very fast indeed. So,
so is knight c4 not on the database?
Not on my over-the-board database. I'll have a quick check on the correspondence, just to see how that goes.
So a new move from Wadzi?
No, a new move from Peter, from Checkmate a lot.
Okay.
So knight takes c4. So let's have a look there. Do we have this position in correspondence? Oh, we do. We have one game in correspondence. Yeah, now how did this one go? That went, let me just bring up an analysis.
It really looks like he's still in his theory, I have to say.
Indeed, we've got one correspondence game which was pretty comfortable. That wasn't very interesting. B3, Bishop E7, Knight H3, Queen D5, which was just completely equal, basically. Black had a very easy game. So, okay, so we're going to have to see whether Matthew Wadsworth has got something prepared against this line. So, well, very good preparation from Peter. Anyway, just Matthew Wadsworth now thinking. Now, Gregor Tocek against Ameet Ghasi, and Ameet has gone for the provocative option, so the perk, and White has played the Austrian attack. So very dangerous for Black if White attacks, but chances for both sides. So we'll keep up with that one. Daniel Fernandez against Fisher Fan. Fisher Fan? Who's Fisher Fan?
Fisher Fan, I know that. Let's see. Wait a minute. Oh, from the draw. Daniel Fernandez against Tamne Chopra. That's
right. So Daniel did something a little bit unusual. He played A3 in this position. It is vaguely known, but the idea is to stop Bishop B4, so to play Knight C3 without allowing Bishop B4. Tamne played pretty solidly there, just D5 and C6. And we're into a typical Queen's Gambit declined Carlsbad structure, where White has played the not totally useless, but also not particularly critical A2, A3. So very typical.
So we'll see if Daniel likes the Keith Arkle minority attack type setup, where you go B4, B5. Or if he prefers the crazy kingside attack alpha 0 type setup, where you develop on the king side and push your H-pawn.
We are going to see, indeed. Now, Thomas Villiers against Bogdan Lalic. Thomas has swapped off queens, amazingly enough. Look at that. So Knight F6, Knight C3, and Bogdan, went for a Queen's Gambit accepted. And Thomas has taken off the queens there.
Okay, going for the end game.
Going for the end game. This is not the best version of it. In general, you want the knight on D2 normally. Why is that? Well, the idea, if you have your knight on D2, you can play A2 to A4. And if Black plays B takes A4 or B4, you can get your knight into C4. That's the idea. With a knight on C3, if I play A4, then Black can play B4, and my knight has to move away. Now I'm wondering, this is still fine for White. Should be a little edge, but it shouldn't have that much in actual fact there. So we'll have a look. Surprising to see someone like Thomas exchanging off queens. That's. Now this is an interesting one. This is Tom O'Gorman against Harry Evans, a very popular Caracan here. Bishop F5. Oh, Bishop F5, very unusual move here. This Caracan with E takes F6, a David Howell favourite. Even Magnus has played it, I think, under tutelage from David. And normally you play Bishop D6 in this position, but Black played Bishop F5, slightly unusual. Bishop D3, Bishop G6, Knight F3, Bishop D6, castles, and Knight H4 has been played. What's the point of Black structure? I mean, this structure is actually quite solid, really, on the king side, for protecting the Black king. The Black pieces get plenty of air and room to develop. The only thing is that the more pieces that get exchanged, the more tricky endgames might get, because you've got a 4 against 3 majority here on the queen side. So, for example, the king and pawn endings could be quite difficult for Black. But before you get there, you've got to actually deal with quite a bit of activity on the Black side. And
some more pieces are coming off now. The bishops are off.
Indeed.
So it does look like it's getting towards the end game.
Well, we've still got queens on and lots of stuff on the board, so we're somewhere away from there. It was a favourite of Victor Korchnoi. Played it a long time ago. Really was completely ignored for a while, but been picked up again, and now I think it's probably the most popular Caracan variation at the moment. Now, this is a weird one. Diamond against Harry Grieve. A Leningrad Dutch. And white playing knight bd2, so not playing c4, but yeah, maybe looking to try and get an e4 without playing c4 first. And well, there's been a little bit of movement on the queen side, and well, we're going to see what happens. Black flexible at the moment, could play a d5 to if white threatens to play e4, or could just play d6 followed by e5. Oh, this is a little bit offbeat. Alex Goss against William Claridge Hansen. So e4, c5, knight f3, 6, c4. Very unusual, that move. So essentially, I mean, white will be aiming for a Maroczy bind with d4. But of course, playing c4 early before d4 gives black a few other possibilities. Queen b6 has been played. Knight f6 is also a move. William plays knight d4, e3, and knight e7.
Well, that certainly stops white playing d4 straight off.
Indeed, I always find it a shame to play moves like that because, well, white plays knight takes d4. Oh, and knight b5. Oh, actually, what do you think of it? Is this known? I think this is known, isn't it? I think I've seen.
I was going to say, can't you meet it with e5? This is a question for the crowd. If black chooses to meet this with e5, what move can white come up with next?
I think you need to drink a glass of port there, Natasha, because
I have no port. The port's all gone. I bought a bottle of Bailey's, but I have not started that yet, and I suppose it won't. I was going to do it for have some at Christmas, but I didn't really have any.
Now, I was wondering actually whether white had some possibilities here. Maybe not. You know,
very good guitar man.
Bishop f4 could be
knight b6 is correct.
Could be one idea here, with the idea of if no, it doesn't work at all. Sorry, I'm just saying rubbish. The idea was I've seen this idea in some lines, but if d6 you play c5, you know, and try and get your knight to c7, but here there'd just be queen a5 check, so that's nothing at all. So actually, from that point of view, I have to say that knight b5 is a bit of an odd move, really, because it'd be much more, you know, if you can't actually get anything with the knight on b5, then it would be much more natural to play it to e2. But so intriguing to see what white's can do. f4 now. Okay, slightly strange play from white there, but yeah, I'm still just an interesting position. Chelsea Kings against Rock Troll. So we've had a Jabava London system, which I'm sure the white player has looked at. The Simon Williams.
Oh, Hack Attack's finished already. Hack Attack with his endgame a draw.
Hack Attack. Well done, well played for the draw, but still, Hack Attack. We were expecting. We've been talking up this game. My goodness.
You got half against. What was it? Is it 2 Grandmasters in a row? Oh, that's Peter Finn.
Yeah. No, Thomas drew with Tom O'Gorman in the last round. So crazy game. But
good result. Draw with Bogdan. Good result, I would say. Well done.
Indeed. So Chelsea Kings against Rock Troll. This is a Jabava London system, and well, it's going to sort of carry on. As always, I always feel with these things that White has got all his pieces misplaced, but it'll probably work out in some way. A little bit awkward though. I mean, d4 is threatened, and if you could play knight e2, then c4 will trap the bishop. So yeah, I mean, I think black's absolutely fine in this position. All right, Katoma. Katarzyna Toma.
FMGM. Okay, so next round it'll have to be Super GM.
It's got to be Michael next.
Yeah. Well, you can do Woman GM and Woman IM.
So actually, Mark has had this a number of times recently, this system, and he tries to play a sort of a martial attack against against the queen e2, which is known, this system, queen e2, that's known as the Worrell attack. And Mark tries to play, I think, ed e4. He's had a few games, actually, against a few different women's players like this. So white played d3, rook e8, rook d1, bishop b7, knight bd2, bishop f8. In principle, black's got no problems here. You know, black's looking very, very, very comfortable here. I think you've got pretty much everything that you'd really want, and white's pieces are looking a little bit squashed and passive. So and then looking at the amount of time that Mark has spent, 56 minutes, very, very little. Yeah, good opening for Mark, and we'll see how white wants to play from here on. But I mean, ideas like c4 are coming in. I suppose g6, bishop g7, always a way of developing. d4 could also be quite interesting. In principle, I think I'd slightly prefer to be black in this position. UK chess bomber against Julia Volovich. This is interesting. Castles. I spent a very long time, almost 20 years ago, analysing this system, and I actually had a game against Peter Schwidler with this, where I went bishop d3, rook d8, and rook c4, which I think is actually quite a good idea. You just keep those pawns together, and then you're making space for the rook on b1 to come and attack b7. Had massive analysis. I got a very good position, but I was a little bit towards the end of a tournament where I was getting very tired, and I didn't make anything of my chances, really. White's played d5, but this is turning out a little bit risky now. Bishop d3, knight b4, bishop b1, and f5.
Okay, she's going for it.
Indeed, and yeah, just threatening f takes e4 and knight d5. And it's going to be a little bit tricky now for white to hold the central pawns, actually. So yeah, this is looking pretty decent for black, I have to say. Yeah, I don't think it's easy at all for white to hold the central pawns. Gunslinger 222 against Sean the Prawn against Gunslinger 222. So an English black's sort of Botvinnik system with pawns on c4, e4, and that little hole on d4. Black's met it with c5 and has thrown in an h5 and a bishop d7, queen c8. So these two are aiming for the pawn on h3 and stopping the white king from castling. But okay, these are a little bit, they're not fantastic, these pieces, in terms of general development. So you are inhibiting white a little bit, but yeah, you're also causing some problems for yourself. So it'd be interesting to see how black sort of develops a bit further now, because it's not completely obvious. Ooh, a g3 Grunfeld in this position between Declan Shafi and Tachika Aurora, and a rather unusual one. Normally, you know, white puts the knight on f3 in these positions, but here white's gone and played the knight to e2 with the pawn on e4. So castles, knight c6, d5, knight a5, knight bc3, e6, bishop e3. I'm just going to have a little look at the book, actually, because I'm trying to see whether this is whether I've seen this before. But I think the knight on e2 is a very unusual thing in actual fact. Yeah, I've seen this with the knight on f3, but never with the knight on e2. So quite interesting. I mean, the bishop's got this diagonal because white's gone d4 to d5. Knights can come round to a c4 and attack b2, you know, together with that bishop. But okay, there's also a danger, you know, white can play b3 at some stage, stop the knights coming into c4, and all of a sudden these are really passive. So quite important for the next few rounds to, at the very least, make sure that this knight gets into play. Otherwise, black's going to end up in a very bad position.
What do you think of that knight being on e2? It's unusual, but it looks okay there.
Yeah, it's just a little bit less. I mean, if black plays e5 at some stage, then the knight won't have that many squares. I don't like it too much, to be honest. I much prefer.
He's trying to get a quicker f4 in.
No, I don't. Not in these lines. I mean, when you play your bishop to g2, f4, f5. It's not the primary line really. I mean, the knight gives some cover to the to the other knight on c3, which makes you a bit more able maybe to play b3. But I don't know. It feels a little bit passive to me. But that's just a matter of taste. I think it's not objectively a bad move. But here White actually's got to think whether is White going to go bishop c5 or just retreat with bishop c1. I guess since you played bishop e3 on the previous move, you're going to try and play bishop c5 here. And then if I were to go rook e8, then b3, and we're going to chase away this knight. That is a definite possibility. Always in these positions, you wonder about a move like knight b2. You could just give the exchange up because there's lots of weak dark squares around here. You've got a pawn for it. That's not at all bad in actual fact. Maybe just lacking a little bit in development at the moment, but yeah, that's definitely worth a shout. But I think bishop c5 is crucial here, and I think this is what White is going to play. Let's have a look. We've got queens and pawns against horsey chess. So Zoe Varney with black.
And Jude Shearsby as white.
Jude Shearsby as white. So this is again, another Jabava London system. And White played this knight b5 idea that we saw Terry Chapman playing earlier, just forcing the knight to a6. And in actual fact, so you can see that Zoe actually played the knight back to b8. And then has played it back to d7 now. Oh, and Jude has played something a bit strange there, really. Played knight e5, Zoe went c5, and you went back to f3, which is okay.
Both moving their knights back and forwards.
Black wasted some time with this, but White's wasted time with this now. So we've got a fairly normal position here, and in principle, Black's completely fine here, but White's fine too. So we'll see about that. Oh, this is a c3 Sicilian. Twirls against poisonous mushroom. C takes d4. That's very, very early to do that. I mean, normally you really do wait. You'd play a move like d5 here. You wait until you take on d4 because White can just play the knight to c3 directly here now. Whereas if you were waiting, that knight might have to go to d2 instead. So White should be pretty happy here with it's really got all the development that White wants. So Harry Wills, good opening there. Unagi, Oliver Stubbs against Ifan Rathbun Jones. Yeah, this is a very ugly opening for Black, really. But I think no, this isn't the Black Lion. I was going to say this was another Simon Williams line because he does look at stuff like this where you go h6 and g5 quickly. But I mean, there are an awful lot of holes here in the Black position. Holes on here, and not that much chance really of starting a kingside attack. So yeah, I mean, I like White very, very much here. I think at some stage you're going to try and get him b4. That would be a very good way to do it. Or you're going to try and get a knight into f5 at some stage. White played knight a5, which is completely reasonable there. So in principle, I like White, but of course this is what Black's aiming for. So when he plays this system, so you can't. Black will presumably be reasonably happy with what he's got. And then finally, Oscar Idle, who we've had on the show a couple of times, playing against Let Me Think, Chris Fink, and Chris has played quite a sharp little line here. So in this Catalan line, which is normally very solid, Black has sacrificed the exchange. We'll have a little look at what the theory is on this because it's been a while since I looked at it.
Chris is, of course, the brother of Peter Finn, who is playing on board 2 today.
Indeed.
That's
So,
Matthew
so A4, B4. This is all known indeed. Now, normally white plays a move like knight fd2 or knight e5, just uncovering the line of this bishop against the rook. White played queen takes c4 in this position. Bishop a6, queen c2. So, I mean, the reason white players tend to play knight e5 takes knight e5 is that you could take with a knight on c4 and just have a little bit more development. He just sort of wasted 2 moves in a way. But okay, after knight bd7, white goes knight e5 here. So opening the diagonal on there. And this is quite a sharp exchange sacrifice, takes. So d takes c5 is probably more common, but Oscar took the challenge on with bishop takes
so he's got to watch out for his light squares.
Oops, queen takes d4. No, black grabs this pawn to, so it doesn't take the light squares. So white keeps the 2 bishops. And then what have we got here? We've got bishop g2. And then c5. So Chris obviously done his homework here, because still following mainline theory. Rook d1, queen to g4, attacking the pawn on e2 here. So f3 played to cover that. And now white, most players have played queen h5 here as black. But Peter has played queen c4. Now let me just check this in my correspondence database. We can just see whether we've got any games in that. No games in that. So looks like queen c4 is a novelty from Chris. And takes and takes. And in principle, I mean, it looks like a reasonably sensible novelty, actually. You know, the bishop's very active here. Attacking e2, eyeing b3. And yeah, I mean, once this bishop moves from there, the c pawn can move on. Yeah, I mean, looks like pretty decent compensation for the exchange. So very interesting game there. Oh, good lord! Oh no, that wasn't luck is my skill. That was a 5-minute game. So let's have a look what has happened with Michael here. I thought Matthew would do that. He played the Schlechte Slav, which is a very solid opening. Now, I wonder, actually, does Michael know this at all? Knight c3.
Look how much time Matthew's used. He's used 15 minutes already on his first few moves.
Ah, it's interesting. So bishop e2, castles, castles, d takes c4, bishop takes c4, bishop g4. Actually, in this position, I played bishop e2, which was a Korchnoi idea, which I quite liked. But h3 is a very common idea. Bishop f3, queen f3, knight bd7. And now the most common move is, in fact, rook to d1 here. Let me just bring that up on an analysis board. There is a lot of theory on this. Rook to d1, e5, d5. And after, then black goes e4, knight e4, takes, knight b6, forking these 2. This is pinned, of course, so you can't move the d pawn. Bishop b3, and then we can do something like cd, knight d5, and queen b6. And there's been a lot of analysis of this line. I've actually, then this is probably about 20 years ago, I did a lot of analysis on this line from the black side, because I played the Schlechte Slav as black, with good results, actually. And I thought this was around equal, although black has to be a little bit careful. But Michael played e4, which is slightly surprising, I have to say. It's not supposed to be. It's actually not supposed to be that good. I'm just going to check. I'm just going to check to make sure that I'm not getting something completely wrong there. But this is.
It looks like he does know it. Don't know why he'd choose to go in a line that's not so good. Maybe there's new thinking on it.
Could be. It could just be an inaccuracy. Let me have a look. Who have we got? There've been some games recently, but it hasn't been very convincing for white, I have to say. So we're actually following a game Shankland against Safali here. Knight b6, queen d3, knight takes c4, queen takes c4, and b5. I mean, this is the reason that rook d1 is supposed to be the accurate move, because after e4 we have this knight b6, and we're attacking these two. So white actually loses his advantage of the two bishops, which is well, just kind of nice to have, really. Now, Sam Shankland played queen takes c6 against Safali, and then we got let me go back to played queen takes c6. We got queen takes d4, bishop e3, queen e5. Oh well, f4, queen e6. This was pretty. This looks pretty decent for white. Definitely a slight advantage, anyway. So interesting to see whether Matthew's got an improvement or whether he's happy to get a slightly worse ending like this. Safali did draw it in the end. Interesting game there. Interesting choice from Matthew Turner. Now, Wadsworth against Peter Finn. So Peter, you recall, played a novelty. In actual fact, knight takes c4 in this position. e5, and Matthew hasn't really found anything too amazing. He just played d3, bishop b7, queen b3. And now black's thinking. I mean, very many tempting things here for black. I mean, queen b6 check looks very, very reasonable, I have to say. And black has played it. Why not? And after king h1, I guess, queen b6, ab looks quite reasonable for white. Well, if you play king h1, then I'll probably just castle, and I think black should be absolutely fine. I don't think there's too much of a problem there. At some stage, black will want to play a move like knight d5 and try and get this bishop back to activity. But for the moment, it's doing a decent job. I mean, it's attacking e2, so it's stopping f4, and this bishop isn't much better, really. So, I think for the moment, black's not too worried. But that'll be a future plan, just to do that.
Tom offering a peace sack, says the crowd. I think that must be Tom O'Gorman.
Indeed.
Board 6.
Well, my goodness me. So what has happened here? Queen c7. So first of all, white offered a pawn sack, h2, and then followed it up with a piece sack. So Tom has had a pretty restful Christmas, I think, because he's going full out for it. All right, well, let's
try and give Irish pawns. But Tom is the Irish player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to give the opponent Irish pawns.
Irish pawns.
So, okay, let's have a look. Because I mean, in some ways, I'm not quite sure. If I don't take it, I'm not quite sure where the danger is yet. But let's have a look if we take it there. So, are we going to give a check, or are we going to take on f5 first? Well, let's try with a check. That's always interesting to see the more forcing lines. Knight d7. And here we just got a move like rook h3 with queen h7 mate to come. So that is very, very dangerous. And indeed, rook h3 is just going to be absolutely terminal. I think we've got queen f6 threat as well. There's nothing black can do here, I think. So I think taking the piece is not going to be good. But what if black goes knight d7 here simply? How is white going to improve that? Well, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
We've given up a pawn for this so far. Open H file. I suppose you don't need to move that knight still because it's still the same.
Well, I'm not sure, actually, because we're covering f6 now. So, I mean, if I played a move like a3, I think I can take here. Check there.
Maybe not a3.
Takes in here. No, it's just I've got rook g8 to g6 now. So you really are threatening that. Now, I mean, the interesting idea, of course, what white
What
is.
if like rook? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it takes. And I'm not quite sure. Maybe Queen F5 is quicker. That is probably better because if we go Rook G3 here, then we can challenge this rook like this. It's not 100% clear because we've got a little Rook E7 here with a pin on the 7th rank. So these could get quite interesting as well. But I think that Queen F5 might be stronger. So I'm threatening Rook H3 now. This is very dangerous. So we actually need to move this rook out of the way to be able to meet Rook H3 with Knight F8. Looking very dangerous though, because if I go Rook H3, Knight F8. Oh wait a minute, I'll go Rook G3, King H8, Rook H3, Knight F8, Queen F6 with check, and then I'll go Rook E7, and then I'm going to have Queen takes F7 mate.
That one looks nice.
Yes, I think the knight's still taboo. Just sort of wondering though, how is black going to get developed? Quite interesting. I could go King H8, I suppose. This is maybe a sensible line. Another idea would be to go.
If we go in onto E7.
Yeah, another idea is Queen F4 that black can try. But I think Queen F4, we can just go Rook F3, which is, and the Queen just has to retreat because Queen G4, I've got Knight H6. So King H8, Rook E7. Let's have a little look here. Takes. Rook D8. Well, let's have a little look. We'll see whether we can make this work. Takes. We'll just go Rook D8.
So Rook E3.
Yeah, we've got a few here. I mean, we can try Rook D7 actually. Takes, check, and Rook E3. Oh.
That's my phone. Making a noise. I normally have it silent.
Threatening Rook G3 here. That's going to be a little bit of a difficult one. We could give the queen. Well, I suppose we could give the queen away always in these positions. Never quite sure about it. Not 100% sure about that. Rook E8, Rook check, king there. Are we
It'll
going to
never be mate with a knight on F8.
Rook
Cecil
check
Purdy. There we go.
maybe? King D6 is not over yet. Queen G3 here.
Oh wow.
Who knows? That's
a rook down though. So you do have to mate.
I think Rook E3 would probably be nicer. We're threatening Rook H3. If we go Rook G8, then I go Rook F7, and if Rook G7 to defend, I take. And
Another rook in.
So I think this is probably
That's a nice sacrifice.
Probably still looking dangerous. I guess we go with something like Rook D8 probably. But then actually, I think we got stuff like Knight H6, for example, King G7. Rook D8. Maybe we just go Rook E3. Maybe we just keep on going like this. Got to watch out. I mean, there's stuff like Queen F4 at some stage, and Rook F3. I could go Queen C1, and then.
And the knight's covering that square on H6.
Yeah, but I'm wondering whether I can take it off. Then I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've got all sorts of extra possibilities there, and I've got moves like Queen G5, for example, just to harass you a bit like that. Interesting. It's a very interesting pawn sacrifice, I think. How's it gone? A Rook E3 or Black Queen F4.
Okay.
And why went Knight E7 check? King G7 and Rook E1. Interesting.
It's a funny position, isn't it? The knight on E3 7 doesn't have squares.
No, I guess we can knight d7. That's a pretty good move. I guess we can do a sort of a rook e4 or rook f3 and try and move the queen away there, and then maybe bring the knight back to f5. But yeah, not clear. Not clear, this one. Not clear at all what's going to happen. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. Diamond Ort against Harry Grieve. Yeah, Harry Grieve did decide to play d5. We mentioned that just to stop white from playing e4 after rook e1. And d5, knight e5. I'm not sure about that move. That's I would have liked really to maybe to play even a move like c4 or b3 first and try and play c4. Knight e5, takes f4. Ooh, yeah. I don't really like this sort of. So in terms of winning chances for white, it's not going to be that great. Rook a6 from Harry. Is he maybe looking for a g5 and the rook swinging across? Maybe that's fine for black anyway. You know, just positions doing quite well. Ooh, here we are. So William Claridge Hansen, black against Alex Goss. Black very comfortable. I mean, probably black a little bit better here. I mean, this bishop on e2 is not very good, and the knight on c2 is also not a great piece there. In principle, black's got possibilities for play on both sides here. So yeah, I mean, should be. I think black should be very, very happy with the opening position there.
Yeah, we saw there was an early draw for Bogdan, B unit against Tom Villiers, and Tom's in the chat now, Hack Attack. What we noticed actually today, earlier on today, we were commenting on the women's, and every single game in that event this morning was decisive. And we did see, like ourselves and also in the games, that people were a little bit rusty after the 3-day break for Christmas. So we saw a few blunders in the games, and even in our analysis, we were sometimes missing some things. So I wonder if it'll be the same tonight. But we do have a draw here. It's not like everybody's making decisive games.
So white has really gone for the take my bishop route, putting the bishop on e5, and then it's got the pawns on d4 and f4 behind it. So at some stage, f6 is going to happen, and it might be quite soon. You never know. So, but white's going to have some danger here. I mean, you wonder about knight h5 here for white. Something like this must be the idea.
Yeah, because otherwise he's going to have to swap off.
So, because if takes here, which tactic we got, Natasha?
Well, we could go bishop h7 straight away and queen d5.
And this is
that looks pretty convincing, doesn't it?
A total mate. So that's pretty good. So knight h5. Then the idea is if f6, I want to do something like queen g4, maybe. Attacking this one and this one.
Yeah.
Which looks fairly dangerous. But it might be threatening bishop g7 as well, actually. That's just to save my...
That's an interesting one.
save my bishop. So, but I think what I would probably do is go f6, and after queen g4, I might...
Can you end up like taking 2 bishops and a knight in that one?
I might just take on here, I think. And after takes, I play f5, which doesn't look too bad in actual fact. Maybe you should take with a d pawn, and then go f5. I go queen g3. Oh, actually, this knight's not really very well placed.
Yeah, and you could also go bishop h4 at the end of that, I think.
Yeah, but it's just if f takes c5, I was thinking that this d pawn would be hanging somehow. But actually, you're right. I mean, bishop h4 is also possible there. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Knight h5, f6. You'd need to find a good, convincing.
So maybe white's been a bit enthusiastic with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in principle, I'm not really. I don't really believe this. I mean, sometimes these things work, and you just and you're amazed, amazed and surprised. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether this one is going to work, to be honest. Black's got this move Queen E8 to defend as well. Yeah, going to be interesting, this one. It's a little bit crazy. White's gone Queen G4 in this position, so stopping Black from playing F6 because of Bishop takes G6.
Yeah, maybe it is one of these ones where you can't really go backwards now. You have to just keep your pieces going forward.
Absolutely.
See what happens.
I mean, you start wondering about moves like C4 as well, because normally try and keep the central tension, but if you just chase the bishop back, for example, after C4, it's an interesting question. If Bishop E2, then well, I think we will be getting closer to getting in F6. So yeah, I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's great for White here, but you're attacking, and Black's got to deal with it, and that's always very frightening. Okay, so yeah, we got something a little bit. We mentioned it a little bit.
Mickey Adams declined a draw. It's saying he must have been offered a draw.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So this is very interesting, actually, because B4 was played, and that is not how the Safali game went. So let's have a look at this. Queen takes C6. Just check to see. So Safali took on D4 in the original game against Sam Shankland. I'll just check whether we've had a correspondence game in this. It's always possible. No correspondence games in this. So this B4 from Matthew Turner seems to be a novelty.
Okay.
A very natural one, I must say.
Yeah, it's one you would think of.
So knight E2, rook C8, queen B7, attacking the pawn on B4, rook C2, attacking the knight on E2. I mean, this is very good from Matthew Turner, I think. This is the way to play against Michael, just activity and keep him busy, and don't let him just get one of those smooth positions that he just, grinds you, just smoothly from. So let's have a look. What could we do? Attacking the knight on E2. Yeah, actually, how are we going to do this? So if the knight moves away, well, we've just got Queen D4. Which looks decent. I mean, there's pawns hanging all over the place, so I wouldn't rule it out as a possibility for White. But first impression is it's so.
Because if you take on D4, then there could be like Bishop E3 coming in, and then if the Queen moves again, the pawn on A7 or the pawn on B4 or the pawn on E7 could all be hanging.
Yeah, I mean, you got this Queen C3, Queen B2 move, so you're taking a pawn, but yeah, there are pawns hanging all over the place, so you wouldn't be 100% sure that that Black's emerging with material equality there. But a rook E1 is perhaps the most obvious stroke sensible. I think you could also make a case for maybe Queen A6, because if Knight E4, then I go Queen D3, forking these two. Yeah, and well, basically you're going to look to consolidate there. But I think, yeah, Queen C8, Queen D3, Queen C4. Now, interesting. Queen A6 is definitely another possibility as well. Let's just have a start off with Rook E1. We've got to start somewhere. Just defending the knight on E2, and yeah, White's what is White going to do? Well, maybe Queen B4. Maybe bishop somewhere, maybe E5. Yeah, the reason for playing Rook E1 and not retreating the Queen straight away is that there was a famous Russian player called Eugen Znosko-Borovsky, and he made the general rule that that if your Queen was in the opponent's position taking pawns, you should leave it there for as long as possible, because it's disrupting as well. And the Queen always extricates itself, but But yeah, I mean, it's just creating disruption whilst it's there, and I think that's a very good rule. Actually, I think trying to bring the queen back too early is often a big way that you don't make the most of your position. So rook e1, and now what are we going to do here? Well, obviously this rook on c2 is quite powerful. I mean, a move like queen a8 is definitely possible, or queen c8 even. Just queen a8 defends a pawn, which makes me feel slightly better, but maybe queen c8. And then, if you take, I mean, you could take on here. I could go rook e8, queen there, and I could go maybe knight takes e4 or rook takes e4 here. Yeah, it's 2 pawns.
It's a very exciting game because now look, the knight on e2 is being attacked twice, and you could even double up again on that.
Yeah, I mean, a move like bishop e3, we go knight d5 for these two. Yeah, is this sufficient compensation for 2 pawns? It could be. It could be. It's close. It's close. It's not obvious that it is, but it's close.
What about black just like a5 defending?
That is another very reasonable move. So what I want to try and do here, yeah, okay, so possibilities. I could go rook b1, simply defending the pawn on b2. That's definitely a possibility. I could go e5. I give away the d5 square, then I'm going to try and bring my queen back. I could go a3, actually. That's also not stupid, just to try and get this rook active on this file. Anything else that's interesting? I'd like to play a bishop out here somehow, but rook takes b2 looks quite sensible there. A3 is maybe interesting. Just see how black is going to manage that. So look, a5 we've looked at, queen c8 we've looked at. Is there anything more active that we could do? I think queen a5 is there's definitely something to be said for that. Protect these two. I might have a little b3, just to open up the line of the queen on the rook. I suppose maybe I'm not threatening d4 anymore. That's the thing. So
actually, white's played a different move. White has played queen to b5.
Queen b5. Okay, that was I was having a look at queen a6 or queen b5, and that's the point of this move is this little trick. So knight e4, queen d3, forking these two.
Yes.
So that is, I think that's good. I can't see anything wrong with that. So okay, now we need to. Now black needs to do something here. I mean, queen a8 is quite a natural move. The idea being that if queen d3, we go queen takes e4. So the question is now, what would white do against this? D5 would be possible, wouldn't it? Because after knight e4, we've still got queen d3. I think we could go rook e2 and queen d5, but a pawn for the exchange. But I think white's doing very well there. So d5, d5. That looks quite decent for white, really. I mean, e5 would also not be completely stupid, but you give away some squares, whereas this just seems to block this basically. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, maybe I can go rook c8, but maybe got knight d4 as well. It's a little bit not clear, that one, but okay. Queen a8. Any better moves there? I mean, it's quite obvious to defend the rook on c8. On c2 rather, just to try and to have time for knight takes e4. But I don't know. In queen c7, there's bishop f4, of course, and queen c8. You could even play e5 here, actually. You know, just the knight doesn't have any great squares here. I mean, if black has to go something like this, it feels very, very, very fraught. I mean, f3 or something like this could well, got rook e2 there, but I'm not sure. I mean, this looks very dangerous. d5 queen c4 is the idea, but still. So I'm not sure about that. What else could we do? A better way of doing this. Queen to d7. Queen to d7 is possible. I suppose I could go queen d7, queen d3, rook fc8. This is not stupid at all either. I suppose slightly. Well, d5 we go e6, and we'll see whether that works out or not. Knight d4, rook c4. Not obvious. Not obvious. This center is really very, very fragile, and white isn't that well developed, so it might well work out. I think queen d7 feels like the move. Fernandez in trouble.
Yes.
Walsman is saying. So let's have a look. Luck is my skill. Ooh. That is not looking good at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Okay. So I think black's just simply going to play knight takes b2 here. And at the very least, black's never going to be worse here. We could probably play stronger, actually. Couldn't we just play, maybe knight c5 here? This would probably be nicer, I think. Because, I mean, if you after knight c5, if you take on c5, I take like this, and we just protect all our pawns. Don't give white any opportunity to liquidate too much. And I think the only other possibility I could think of would be to go knight f4, but then we go a4, knight d5, rook b2, and I don't care about these pawns. Oh, knight e7, curses. That would be unpleasant.
There's the rook.
Knight f4. Okay, we go knight b3 simply, covering not covering d5, but covering a5. And yeah, I mean, if you go rook a2, then I can go rook c5, for example, or even rook d8, rook d1, d4.
Yeah.
If white can hold this, then he's a very lucky boy. Simply, it's not looking. This is not at all what he would want. Let's have a look. Tom O'Gorman against Hasban, Harry Evans. f4.
Okay, this is the one which had the knight sack, or the pawn sack and the offered knight sack.
Interesting. Pardon me. f4 would not normally be the sort of move I'd want to play in general, because the nice thing was you felt you had your rooks across, whereas here it's blocking, but obviously hoping for something against this this queen. I mean, queen b5 is one idea here, just to get the queen away with gain of tempo. I mean, if you can do it, then you could go queen d2. For example, you could maybe go queen d2. You could go f5 and try and get in knight d7, f6. Which could be quite dangerous. I suppose maybe white could actually maybe do something like this: knight d5, threatening knight c7, threatening rook e7.
Yeah,
definitely compensation for white. I'm not sure he's better. I mean, the question is, do you have to rush with that? I mean, you could try just queen a5, attacking a2, and then just intending f5 and knight f6 there. That's an interesting question. What is
f5? When they do f5, could you sack? I know there's a lot of sacking going on in this game. Sack on e5 with the rook. So like if black goes f5.
Yeah. I'm not sure really. It's I think it's all of your lines are sort of blocked.
Yeah.
So,
if the queen on a5 and the queen on d3, like we just had.
Okay, so if we did that, let me just go a3, for example.
Yeah.
f5, takes.
And then take on f5. Is that too much?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really see your attack. I think you're really very slow here, and I'm playing f6 and king h8, and I should be very safe, I think.
Yeah.
It's Tashika taking down Declan Shafi. Ooh. Tashika Aurora. What's the Tashika?
Queen 960 or something. Queen.
Chess Queen 960.
Yes.
Oh, rookie 1. Wow. Look at that.
Gosh.
That's a big tactic. Right. My goodness me.
Oh, yes. Look at that.
So
nice tactic.
Yeah, whichever way white does it. That's going to be a bit of a shock because Declan's a good player, strong player, but rookie 1, bishop d4 check.
Yeah.
It's curtains. Or king f2, rook d1 takes
the same trick.
Takes. So
very nice.
My goodness, that could be the first
another Christmas tactic.
Another Christmas tactic. So this is queens and pawns against horsey chess. E6 attacked. I guess black's going to play f5 here and just block that. Black's got e4 for the knight. Some opportunities to attack here. The position, I think, is quite even, unless, am I missing knight? Oops, black's gone knight e4. I was wondering about whether after if black goes f5, knight g5 might have been a little bit awkward to defend this one, but we've got our Cecil Purdy knight on f8, so I think we would be doing quite all right there in terms of holding stuff. Knight e4 is interesting, a little bit more ambitious, trying not yet to play f6 to f5, but I think you probably will need it in the long run to play f5.
Should we check in on Julia Tatad?
So black is a pawn up, in actual fact. So black won this pawn on d5. We said we were, now looking to convert. It's not going to be an easy pawn to convert. I think the rooks are.
Would you take on g7 and then on e6 and then recapture?
Well, it's black to move here, so
that's the threat.
That's the threat. But indeed, you've got bishop g7 and knight takes e6, and then the knight on d5 will be loose. Yeah, I mean, white's. I would have thought that white has got enough compensation for the draw here, because it's not easy for black to get the pieces active. Trying to think how that could work. And I guess you could take on d4. Take on d4 and go rook d8. That's possible. Just keep it together. Go rook e1 maybe. Tough one. I mean, black's got the chances anyway. I mean, that's absolutely clear. So Dulovolovich playing very well there. Ooh, good lord! What has happened here? We've had a little bit of sharpness. Knight f5, bishop c8, queen d2, takes, knight d5, f6 from
Katarzyna Toma.
Now I'm wondering. The idea was that's very clever actually. The idea was after f6, if you go knight takes f6, then I just take, and queen f6 loses the knight on a5. So Mark played bishop b4, queen e2, knight f6. a3. The bishop went back to f8, and now Katarzyna has taken on the e5, not fearing this pin. So,
right, is she right to not fear the pin?
Well,
is the question. So what if just then knight d7?
Well, knight d7, we've got takes.
Takes, and it's attacking the queen, so you can't do that.
Indeed.
Move the queen, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, all these, you'd love to play knight here or bishop there, but there's still this this bishop takes f6 tactic. I mean, one idea would be to play, could be to play g5, bishop g3, and then a move like, well, let's say knight c6. This is a sort of thing where you say, yeah, you know, it's going to be difficult for white to get rid of this out of this pin. But for example, here you could go queen f3, takes, and rook takes c5 is met by queen takes a8. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
There are a lot of surprising loose pieces, aren't there, in this position?
Indeed, and here it's the same tactic. So yeah, that's not going to be easy. I mean, what is white's threat? I mean, white's actually got a threat here. This is the bit of the problem. You're threatening b4, and then when the knight moves away, for example, to b7, you go bishop b3, and you're attacking this pawn on f7. So you've got to be a little bit careful here. I would have thought that, you know, that black here should actually just be better in some way, but I'm not. Pardon me, I'm not at all sure how this should be. Queen e6 is quite a natural little move there. So attacking the knight on e5. I think another natural move would be to go knight d5. The question being whether queen h5 be interesting, attacking f7. Now, maybe queen e6. Let's start with queen e6 and see how that looks. So I'm attacking the knight on e5. We could have f4. We could have rook e1. Bishop g3 looks a little odd. Could try bishop f6, but I don't think that's very good. I mean, the idea here is that if f4, I go knight d5, and I'm threatening knight takes f4 here and knight e3, you know, which seems like quite a reasonable idea. If you went bishop g3, you're no longer attacking f6. So I could maybe just play the knight into b3, actually, which might be quite nice. Rook b1, and then I go a5 maybe, and a4. Just keeping these pieces passive. So maybe after queen e6, I should go rook e1. And now...
Still a pin.
There is still a pin. I mean, I could still have a look at knight d7 maybe. Oh, this is quite interesting, actually. If I go knight d7, f4, I can go f6 here.
Yeah.
Which looks, I mean...
Nasty pin.
It looks a bit odd, but
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you know, white's always got ideas like queen d2, you know, attacking the knight on a5. So that's maybe overdoing things a little bit. I mean, you could meet queen e6 with queen d2, I suppose. Queen e5, queen a5.
And what? Knight
g4, queen e2.
Yeah.
Rook c8.
Bishop d6 isn't much because you can just drop the bishop back to g3 to defend.
Yeah, it's how odd. This is very not easy at all. Queen e6. Yeah, I mean, rook e1 definitely a possibility, but even queen d2, just sidestepping like that. Queen e5, queen a5. Knight g4. Not clear this one. I mean, I suppose, in all fairness, queen e5 takes, bishop d6, bishop g3, queen d5, for example. That should be pretty decent for black, I think.
Yeah.
This bishop isn't so amazing. But I'm surprised. I would really have thought that black, had something. White seems to have, played extremely riskily here. But I can't actually think of a good way to do that. So interesting there. Oh, indeed. So Declan Shafi has gone down.
Yes.
So well played, Aurora.
Yes, who is also playing in the women's event in the mornings. And I thought she was actually playing in. I thought I saw her name in one of the under 2000s or some section as well. I'll check that while you're talking. She's playing a lot of chess this week, anyway.
So, Matthew Turner went queen a8, and I think I was expecting d5 in this position actually, but Michael went e5, knight d5, knight f4, and Matthew Turner went rook d8, takes, and queen takes. And Michael's thinking about the position. Yeah.
Yeah, Tashika Aurora is on board 2 of the women's tomorrow, playing Nina Pert.
Fantastic.
So she's doing very well.
So this is quite interesting, this one. I mean, I think you should play... I mean, queen d5 is possible here.
How is this?
Rook takes, and then I could play... But I've got to...
Oh, so black's going to get one of these pawns back, probably.
Well, in this position, yes. I mean, bishop b3, we go rook b2. I was wondering whether I would have some chances, playing rook c1. Because this bishop's not very... This rook's a little bit awkward, and I get rook c7 in. I'm threatening rook c8 as well.
Yeah.
So
you'd have to create a square for the king or do something about it. Yeah.
Maybe play f6, but then I can go e6. So that doesn't actually gain me very much. Maybe, and if I went to like h5, then I go rook c7, and I'm gonna. You could go rook a5 though. It sort of feels like black should be sort of vaguely okay there. I could go queen b4. Queen takes d4. But you kind of feel that we're starting to get off into we're really getting into liquidation territory here. But on the other hand, I don't know. Here bishop e3, and queen and rook are hanging there. But I can go queen d6, go queen a7, I go rook b2. Yeah, I don't know. This is better for white, all this stuff. But I don't know whether it's enough really. I have to say, I do like this idea of just feels a little bit more active of going there. But maybe I can go f6 in this position. Just get this one in first, and then take on b2 after. Maybe this is not going to be so difficult for black. Yeah, Mickey's taken on b4. That's fair enough. I mean, I think Mickey's going to go for queen d4, queen e7, and just he's just essentially going to try and get some position of pawn up somehow. It's all, the onus is all on black here to find an accurate way. But and bishop e3, queen d6 looks pretty natural. Then queen a7 here, and rook b2, a4, for example. And well, I mean, you've just got to prove that you can win that a pawn back. That's what you've got to prove. And maybe you'll be able, and maybe not. Decent practical chances there.
We're checking on Peter Finn and Matthew Wadsworth.
Yeah, positions very equal here. Yeah, Peter's done pretty well, really. I mean, going to get his bishop back now to this diagonal. I suppose got to watch out a little bit. Is that true? Here, bishop h3, maybe. If I go bishop b6, do I have bishop c7? takes and takes here, maybe. That's a possible trick. Not clear though. Takes, rook here. I mean, this rook's incredibly active, so I'm actually not at all sure that trick works. I mean, you could claim, I suppose, that a little edge because you've got this knight against this bishop, which is. But I mean, if I have a look at what outposts does this knight have, actually very few.
Yeah.
This is covered, and I mean, this bishop's got more outposts than this knight. So I think if I can play bishop e6, then I should definitely do it. And if that's possible, then there's, then black's very comfortable. I'd even say actually that black has got a slight advantage, I would have thought. So very, very good play from Checkmate Lot.
Yeah.
So,
Can he get 3 results against title players in a row?
Indeed. Now, Welsh Tiger against Ameet Ghasi. So how is this looking? If White had a couple of extra pieces developed, it would be maybe winning. But this actually looks, I think it looks decent for black. I think black's going to be fine. A lot of loose pieces, which make me a bit nervous, but I think so. I mean, if I go queen e6 check. Where am I going to go here? King g7 is one possibility. Queen f7 is the other. I mean, White's doing absolutely fine. Obviously, you could just swap off queens, or you could try and think of doing something else.
Safeguards against people using computers. Yes, there are. That is all documented on the English Chess Federation website. There's quite a lot of stuff in place. I'll see if I can find where you would have a look at that. It'd be in the rules of the tournament. It's always a very thorny issue, and it was definitely all written down about how this Congress is going to deal with it.
Maybe a3. Oh, wait a minute. A3. We can take on here. Knight takes check, queen c5. That's not interesting. Interesting to see whether we can. Yeah, bishop h6 maybe. Not stupid. We go rook e8. It's an interesting one for Ameet. Not easy. I mean, I think if White plays queen e6, then you're sort of more odds on for a draw there. So lots of liquidation there. Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, Black did play rook 8 c5 b3. I mean, White's in big trouble here. I think rook b2 looks incredibly strong. Yeah, that would be a big shock. Tom O'Gorman, indeed, Black played queen b5. What we were looking at: takes, knight d5, rook c8, rook e7, rook fd8. White's got good compensation for the pawn. I mean, this one's good, and well, Black's pawns on both wings are quite damaged. So yeah, I mean, I think White is doing fine here, but I think Black is also has a pretty decent position. I mean, maybe Black could try king f8 here, looking to play rook e8, but then we'll probably play knight d3. I think, defending on the e1 and just leaving this. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for Black to get free here. Not sure whether White can do anything super positive. Maybe try pushing the d pawn. It's good compensation anyway. Diamond Alt against Harry Grieve. Harry's played g5. Yeah, it's a tough position, really. I mean, both bishops here are not particularly great. But it's pretty even. It's going to be hard for either side to make something of this one. Yeah. William, in principle, I think doing some good work here. So He's got one target on here, and there are possibilities to open the king side. The slight problem is that if I go GF, EF, and bishop f5, then we've got bishop c6 and rook a5, which at the moment doesn't seem to be amazing for black. So we've got to try and work out a way to do that. Yeah, rook c1, b4. Oh, I'm not 100% sure about having played b4 so early somehow. I'm not sure. I was but okay, it's been done. So black's got to try and work out how to do this. Not that easy to see how to break. You're going to need a lot of patient maneuvering here. Maybe just maybe just rook b8 back again. Just maybe threaten a4 at some stage. Obviously, you'd love to put the knight on here, but this pawn's going to be a little bit tricky. Yeah, I mean, black's slightly better, but not at all easy to make something of this. So, yeah, we're going to see how Tom gets through that.
Looks like Mickey's solidified his extra pawn a bit now in that game on board 1.
Well, he's got two extra pawns at the moment.
2 extra pawns, yeah.
So Matthew Turner has played e6. Okay. I don't like that very much. I think you really have to. My feeling is you had to start liquidating and try and get that. This is very, very risky. Bishop e3. So I guess bishop f8 is what Matthew was looking for. The queen finds it hard to. I'm not sure. Maybe was it a5 that you're looking for? But then I can go queen b6. I keep on defending this one. I was wondering about bishop f8 because we keep control of b6. I can go queen a4, hitting these two. Okay, but then I can take and go rook a8. That's the idea. And then afterwards I can take on a2. And at least I've managed to swap off all the pawns and get everything on one side. So bishop e3, yeah, bishop f8 seems like the move. What would Michael play here? Queen b3 is possible. I wonder about this somehow. Rook's coming over to b7. I could go rook a2 and rook a1 actually. I'm wondering which is best actually. If you've got the queens on or whether you were swapped off. Not quite sure. I mean, I think Michael's just is in principle a pawn up and stands better, but the question is whether the resulting position is going to be winning. Because I think at the moment it's sort of looking as if black can swap everything off. So and come with 5 pawns against 4 on the same side.
The crowd is saying Oscar Idle's game is looking good.
Ooh, let's have a look. Very sharp there. But we've got a big rook's pawn here, haven't we? And yeah,
oh, yes, look at that.
This bishop is stopping this bishop from getting active, and this knight is dominated. So yeah, this is looking very good for Oscar, I think. Bishop c2 would probably be the sharpest line, but then I think we can probably just go a5, bishop b3, even a6 afterwards. I mean, there's 2 queenside pawns coming on here, but let's have a look. How is that? Bishop c2. We go a5, bishop b3, bishop b6 maybe. I mean, I almost want to just to give that away and just start moving my pawns, but that's maybe a little bit over exuberant. Look over to here, maybe a6, a7. Yeah, they don't really have that much support, these pawns. So I think you're going to be able to give something up for the 2 pawns apiece or something. If this knight was a bit more active or something like that, but I think these I think it's looking very good indeed. Let's just have a look at here at this is Oliver Stubbs against Ivan Rathbone Jones. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weaknesses in Black's position here, so I'm not really enjoying this from the Black points. It's very weak, and White's going to start invading through the queen side soon. It's not very easy to see how Black could get any sort of king side attack here. So yeah, I'm looking good for White there at the moment. Twills against Poisonous Mushroom.
Okay, how's this one going?
White's looking very good there.
Exchange up.
Exchange up, and some nice pawns here as well. So I think White's going to be winning that one. Jude Shearsby Jr. against Horsey Chess. That's Zoe Varney. Still going to be quite even. Takes on f3, and the game goes on. Little bit of an advantage for White, I guess, because after ef3, then the pawn on e6 is going to be a little bit of a weakness there. So a little bit of an edge for White, but nothing too amazing, because White's got this weakness on the e4, of course, as well.
How's Daniel Fernandez getting on?
Is Bogdan playing another game, actually? It's just...
he could be playing a friendly. He's finished his actual match.
Indeed. So Sean the Prawn against Gunslinger. Gunslinger looking quite nice here. 2 bishops and some breaks all over the board. Nice dark squares, weaknesses here. White doesn't really have a way of breaking through here, so pleasant edge for Black here, I think. Aha! So UK chess bomber against Julia Volovic.
Oh yes, and Julia was a pawn up, and it looks like she still is.
Yeah, this is reasonably. In principle, this is quite nice. Black's managed to exchange off, or White has exchanged off the knight for the bishop, and that is actually quite nice because this one becomes very, very stable. Now there's a few worries maybe about the Black king there, but I think after a move like Rook c8, I think yeah, I mean it's an interesting question whether White's going to try and play Rook e1 and somehow get at the Black king. I mean, we've got the threat of Rook h3 to h6. That's the basic idea. And if King g5, then we can go Rook g3 check, King there, and probably King e2. And just Rook h1 is going to be mate there.
Oh, nasty! That was quick. Didn't look like there was any attack at all, and then suddenly it's checkmate.
It escalated quickly indeed. But I suppose you could play a move like Rook c2, and if White goes Rook h3, then well, maybe just go Rook e7 and just hold things like that. I think Black should be go f4, of course, threatening Rook h6 check and Rook h7. Not 100% easy, but in principle, I do trust Black's position, but. Maybe we could go f4, actually. That might not be silly, just to give ourselves a bit of room like that. And then we can move the rook in, and also stops White from playing f4 himself and solidifying. That might be a good move.
That looks good.
Okay. What's happened here? So, yes, Queen d2, Queen d6. Actually, this is just what we said. It's just what we said would happen. Queen e5, Bishop d6, Bishop g3, Queen d5. Rook e1, takes, and Knight g4. Bishop d1, Knight e5, Queen d2. So a pleasant position for Black, this one. So I guess I would expect Mark, I think, to play rook c8. He's played. I was thinking maybe rook e6 and doubling on the e file, but he's gone for the c file, which is very sensible as well. For example, if white does something like bishop e2, we might have queen b3 ideas. Just aiming for c2. So a slight edge, I think, for white for black here. I do like Mark's position here. Yeah, I wonder maybe a4 should be played here just to try and create some weaknesses and free a bit of a file for the rook. That's maybe not stupid. This was this caveman attack with a bishop on e5. Looking quite nice for black, really. Black hasn't won any material, but has the two bishops and a nice set of central pawns there. And I mean, white's got the f6 square, but I don't know. Hard to see really how that's sort of working together to make an attack, really. So for now, black looking quite in quite good shape there. So, William playing rook b8, just attacking the pawn on b3. I mean, at some stage, it's not very easy to see how we proceed here. I mean, rook there, I imagine, to protect b3. At some stage, we might want to go something like a4, to do this. This might be an interesting idea. I mean, takes. Rook takes. The nice thing about it is we don't have a weak a5 pawn anymore, so gf becomes a bit more of a possibility. We've got a few ideas maybe of attacking this one. But I mean, black, white doesn't really have, not really clear how many weaknesses white really has there. It's going to be a tough one to win this one, I think. Ooh, so what have we got here?
This is looking a bit tricky for Daniel.
Indeed, it is quite nasty. I mean, how should white defend this? I mean, this rook can come over to f4, so this is absolutely possible. So that actually defends the pawn on f2 and attacks the pawn on f6. Of course, we could then go rook here, take some b2, and we're threatening rook c1, so you'd need to go rook b6 to defend. Now I can't go rook c1 because rook b2. I mean, that's the key idea. But I could just go, start harassing this rook and start bringing my king in there. It's just not. It's just not your dream position, this really. It's I mean, white can play g4 and king g3, get himself a bit safer, maybe. Not clear. I mean, I don't think. It's still there's still definitely there's still chances you can still make it, but of course you don't even need to give away the pawn. You can just go king e7 first of all, and then go rook c2 and b2. So. I mean, I would expect this to be winning for black in the long term. So, amazing.
That'll be quite a big upset.
It definitely will be, yes. Welsh tie against Ameet Ghasi. This is looking very, very even indeed. So, could be that Gregor drew with Mark Hebden. And it looks like he might be repeating the feat against Ameet as well. Okay, so Matthew, we actually got this sequence, but Matthew decided he wanted to swap off the knight and give black the two bishops. I'm not sure about that, really. I mean, I think Peter's got a very pleasant position here.
The bishops look good.
Yeah, two bishops, and you've got this b4 opportunity as well to.
And that d3 pawn isn't that safe either? It's a little bit backward.
No. So Peter's doing a great job at the moment. Really doing very, very well. Not too bad for time either. So Okay. So what happened here? Queen a4, rook takes b2, rook fb1 from Mickey. He didn't grab a7. That's probably wiser. Takes, and rook c1. And I'm afraid that Michael is just simply a pawn up in this position. There's no compensation for this. So, yeah, it's not easy to win. I mean, let's be absolutely clear about that. But I think it is very, very good. And I mean, this bishop is sort of tied down to this pawn a bit. But if White just gets the opportunity to get it active somehow, then this would be very unpleasant. And you've got a little target on a7 as well. So now looking very, very good for White now, I think. I would expect Mickey to make this one. I've got all sorts of improving ideas like rook c6 to a6, for example, or just rook c6 and queen c4. So, I mean, Black could try and play the bishop to b6, which is it defends a7 and attacks d4. The problem is with these weak dark squares, you're leaving your own dark squares rather unattended there. So, yeah, don't like this very much at all for Black now. Let's see. Oh wow! What's
this one? Okay, so the knight was in on e7, and now it's
okay. So Black is actually giving up a pawn here for some freedom. The idea is, so the idea was that if you took on b4, then Black was going to play rook c4 and fork these two. But White played b3, so stopping rook c4 and threatening knight takes b4. So an interesting one there. I mean, you could play, got a few moves you could play. Knight b8. Just wondering about knight f6 in this position. Now that could be quite dangerous actually, because I come around to g5 here. That would not be at all pleasant. So how is Black going to do this?
Well, I suppose you could put your knight anywhere. Like you could go forwards as well.
Yes, you still always got this knight f6. That's the problem. Wherever you go, I'm taking the pawn on f6 and I'm threatening to take on h7.
What if you go to e5?
E5. Ooh. That is very bold. I suppose I could take here maybe.
Then you might be able to get. We can get one rook to the 7th, but we can't really double up there because otherwise we get mated.
No, and there's this sort of takes and takes here. I get the feeling that you're gonna
bit dangerous. This.
Of course, when you go knight b4, that might be a moment to move the knight away. But how? What's a good move? It feels all wrong to go b5 really, but it could be possible. Knight b4, knight b6, because that's quite a nice square for the knight, and then I can play rook takes d4. That's the idea. That might be an idea if I can get away with it.
The M's pawn structure. I thought, yeah. This looks a bit like the M's pawn structure as well, isn't it? There you go. The theme of the day. We had a pawn structure like that this morning.
Rook e2. Tricky. Not 100% easy for Black here. I'm struggling to find a good, a really good idea. Sort of expect there to be something clear and concrete to make a draw here, but I get the feeling, unfortunately, that Black doesn't have that. So I could play. There are some vaguely useful moves you could play, like h6, for example. Just to cover this g5 square or something like that. I don't know. That's possible as well. Interesting. There we are. Mickey playing rook c6.
Oh yes.
C7. So got to decide whether he's going to play the queen to c4 or the rook to a6. Rook a6 is interesting. Black goes rook d7 and sort of holds. And maybe then, I suppose the worry is always if you go something like rook a6, I go rook d7, then Black might go bishop d8 to b6, just to sort of hold you in. I quite like the idea of going Queen C4. You know, that's I'm attacking, threatening C7, so you've got to go Rook D7 anyway, and then well, I mean, I could even think about moving this pawn up to A6. In actual fact, that could be quite dangerous as well. And I'll play some strengthening moves as well. King H2, very pleasant for white. I mean, just a very nice nice opportunity to grind there. Yeah, Matthew Ward. Peter playing just very nicely. Very very pleasant position for black here. Yeah, Ameet thinking here, not going to be easy to make anything of this, especially because his second rank is so weak. So yeah, you can't just throw your own pieces forward. And something like B5, you know, would be, you think, get the knight away and then come in onto E3. But we could just play a move like Rook D2. I mean, that would all be fine as well. Raylin, I thought you were going to sleep.
Yes.
I didn't realize you were going to play.
Oh, yes, sleeping during the day. No, she wouldn't have had much time to sleep.
No, Raylin tweeted that she was watching the commentary of David Howell. Oh, because she wanted to get some sleep, but looks like it wasn't that much sleep. We like to see crazy about chess.
Yeah.
Oh, this has worked out very well. What happened here? Knight A1, Rook B4, Rook B1. Oh, white got himself a little bit in there, and A4 happened. F takes G6, F takes G6. Now, you would have thought that white could keep on resisting, really, with something like Bishop D1, but white... I think white panicked a little bit and took. Oh, good lord! We're not stopping that pawn anymore. So that's another win for William Claridge Hansen. Looks like.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that went very quickly. There was just a big blunder there. I think did white miscount the number of pieces he had on B3? Maybe something stupid like that. I think because yeah, it didn't look. I mean, it was not very good to play this move Rook B1, you know, allowing A4, but still, there were still some possibilities to survive, I think. So, but yeah, this is all over now. This B pawn is just queening. Yeah, William Claridge Hansen playing very impressively so far this tournament.
Really, very good tournament.
Very well.
Hebden's not looking pretty. Let's check in on that.
Hebden or the position?
Maybe more Hebden. Yeah, wow.
It's well, okay. So he's actually sacrificed a pawn here to get his rook into the 7th. I think Mark's doing decent. I think that's quite an interesting way of playing what he's done. Rook on the 7th. Whether it's actually going to lead to an advantage, I'm not sure. I mean, we might play B4 here. And then we want to play Rook C1. Yeah, I'm not sure whether this is really going to lead to any sort of advantage for black. But I mean, I think black will definitely be active enough to you know, to be able to make a draw here. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that would be any problem. Oh, D4, right?
Interesting.
So, oh, okay. The idea, actually, this is very clever. Queen C3 is the idea.
Queen C3, and then the rook has no square.
Yeah, it's not quite clear though, because we could go Rook B3 then, and trap the trapper.
Yeah.
Queen takes D4 check. So, so I wonder actually.
So if the white rook moves now, can the black rook You could do like
Well,
queen e6 or something, and you've got defending the rook.
Yeah. Rook c1 maybe. What is this position? It's Black's king is a little bit loose, of course, on the light squares and everything. I mean, a move like queen e6. I mean, I could just take and take here, and I'd expect this to be a slight edge for white, because you've got this trick. I mean, takes and b4. Probably there's more stuff that's wrong, but you've got this rook a8 check followed by ab. So there's yeah, this d4 is a little bit annoying actually. I don't know whether you can just play it better. Maybe knight b6. Maybe we could. Well, no, then queen. I've got to watch out for queen e8 then.
Oh yeah, and bishop b4.
I'm sure that's part of the trap, but I mean, after queen e8, I could go queen f8, which would be quite decent. Go rook e1 and d5, maybe. Yeah, I mean, this is possible. This is possible. Maybe d4 knight b6 is a good one. It's not obvious though. Tough fight. Oh, Mark took on b2, and then rook c1 indeed.
Okay.
So Katerina didn't fall for this trick, but rook c1. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, white's quite active here.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was white, I'd feel, I wouldn't feel bad about my position at all. But yeah, I mean,
so could Black just try and make the king a bit safer? I'm thinking, would g6 help close that diagonal off?
It's possible. So, I mean, I go rook c8 check, and now the question is, can you go king g7? Because I can go queen e8, and
yeah,
that can be a bit awkward. So you might have to go knight f8. And then, I mean, I could play it, you've got moves like queen e5, for example. Oh, very thrilling, this. I mean, the idea is if you take, I've got bishop d5 and I've got rook c7, so that would always be good counterplay. I mean, you can gamble, right? I mean, you can go queen a3 as Black and just say, well, I'm going to go for a rook b1 and queen a1 somehow and mate you on here. But it's not easy. It's not easy, and this d pawn is very, very dangerous.
I think that would be a bit scary for Black.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be intrigued to see how what Mark does here, and whether he's going to whether he's going to be gambling a bit or whether he's going to be playing it safe. I don't know, because I can see a lot of ways in which this can go wrong for Black.
Hack Attack says Black wants to trade rooks, and White wants to trade queens.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment in terms of which pieces you want to exchange off. That's a good summary. We've got Twills against Poisonous Mushrooms has finished. So
oh gosh, 2 queens.
Won that one. Yeah, that was the one where White was the exchange up. I think we saw this position, didn't we, or something a little bit further along here, I think.
Yeah.
So that was looking very good. What's he against Peter Finn? Looking very well. Yeah, actually, now this a3 pawn is very, very weak, I have to say. Actually, I mean, I think Matthew's got to watch out a little bit here, because he could end up in a position here, because I mean, I go rook e8, for example. You go rook a1. I don't quite know the move order, but if I've just got just say that white did nothing amazing.
Yeah.
King there, h4, and then I go b6, and then I go bishop d6, and I'm threatening bishop b4 here. This could be very awkward. I mean, maybe I make sure that this bishop is protecting the pawn on c6, but I don't know.
Yeah. So how do you defend that pawn?
Well, here I could go rook c1, and rook a3 to c6. But if I can maybe be clever, maybe I go king to d8 or something, or then I don't know. I mean, this could really be quite awkward for white. It's I definitely rather be black in this position than white. So yeah, no, so far Peter's putting up a great resistance. I mean, maybe I just go. Actually, come to think of it, maybe I just go. Bishop d7. That's right. Well done, Peter. That's what I was going to say. And then, so the idea is that if I just go here, for example, I go b6 here and here, and I'm just threatening bishop b4.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tie you down with rook b3. Obviously bishop b6. You can go maybe rook there, but I mean, this is passive. C5 is a possibility here. I mean, yeah, black's starting to be a bit better here. So amazing play from Checkmate a lot.
Yes.
Playing in a good strategical manner there. So Ameet is going to try and make something of this. It's going to be very difficult. White's piece is very well placed here. So we're going to see how that goes. Michael. Oh, look at Michael. Great minds think alike. He went on the c file and then played the rook's pawn to a6. So yes, indeed. I mean, I wasn't sure, to be honest, but I did think, I was wondering whether you should really have tried to stop white from getting that pawn to a6, because now, I mean, we're going to have d5 stuff and bishop a7. So I mean, this is pretty unpleasant, really. So I imagine Matthew's going to, is he going to take on e3 now? I guess so. Takes on e3. Takes, and then try and maybe do something like this. It's a bit tough, though.
Bring his queen out to e4, maybe.
Like this, you mean? Yeah.
Yes, either yes, before or after. Yeah, that looks.
So, I mean, I go queen c3 probably. I mean, the thing is with this, it's hard getting this rook active, and if I go like this,
he's done it. Yes, before taking the bishop as well.
Queen e4 before taking, but okay. So if I go queen e4, I can go queen c3, for example. Does it make a difference? I suppose what you could do, you could play this move bishop f4. So you could actually. The nice part about that is that you get to weaken the kings a little bit more. That might be a good idea. King h2 and then queen e4. Okay, Mickey's gone queen c1 there.
Yeah.
Okay, so after queen b1, yeah, that's right. He went queen c1, clever. Queen e4. So he's got himself completely protected, but rook d4 now is an idea. For black, exploiting that pin.
Which I'm sure is what Matthew would be. That sort of thing is the sort of thing he does.
Wondering about rook d6 here, in actual fact.
Yeah.
This might be reasonably strong. Because, I mean, if you avoid the exchange of rooks...
yes, you've got to make your rook passive.
Then I go bishop g5. I'm simply picking up another pawn. I've got myself beautifully protected everywhere. Because I mean, you don't have a perpetual, you don't have mate. I mean, I'm just covering everything here with this beautiful queen. So after rook d6, if I take off on here, just take off. I don't think you just can't. You can't round this guy up. I'm threatening d7 actually. The problem is I'm threatening d7, and then I play queen c7. That's the key idea, and I'm covering this diagonal. So even if you take pawns, you're never going to get perpetual. So I think and rook d6. Well,
he's done it. Yeah,
he's done it. So I think this is going to be quite unpleasant. The beautiful thing, of course, you'd want to have rook c7.
Queen
with
takes.
Queen takes, bishop e3, but I'm not even sure that's perpetual, to be honest, and you don't even need to take it. So rook d6 looking very, very strong now. I think Mickey very close to winning. What's he? Yeah, this has happened. Rook b3. So the I think it's maybe Matthew's looking to play the knight round to c2. This is really very, very passive. It's Black does have a very nice advantage here.
How would you do it? Bring king out?
I mean, in general, you sort of say you've got to start expanding on both sides now. So you've got a bind on here, then you've got to start looking at how to expand on the king side, gain a bit more space on both sides, and eventually something breaks. I think rook a4 is also an interesting idea. Just something rook b4. So I think that bishop e1 would be necessary there to stop this threat of taking on b4. c5 is very reasonable again. Very straightforward and takes. This is just very difficult for white. White's going to be just very straightforward play. I mean, White's going to be quite relieved if he can save this. It's. I mean, if it's winning, it's great. I mean, generally, I might have wanted to consolidate a bit more before playing. But if it's good, then it can definitely be played. So Matthew Turner's still thinking. Ameet carrying on. Actually, it's not very much this really. Luck is my skill. What's happening here? So, actually, looks like Daniel has saved himself here, I think, because we can just capture this pawn on b3 here and get a drawn rook.
Okay, this looks very drawn then.
So, looks like Daniel has managed to save himself. Oh, this one has gone terribly wrong. Yeah, we said this was a lot of power with the bishops, and that White didn't really have a kingside attack, and indeed it's Black that's ended up with a kingside attack. So Rock Troll wins with a kingside attack.
To Rock Troll.
Harry Grieve trying to drum up some kingside play here. How well is he doing?
I can't see a mate.
Progress. No, making some progress, and but I mean, Black's got a lot of possibilities to counterattack here. So it's a very sharp position. I mean, it's not. You're not even sure who's better, actually. Black is obviously pressing, but it's not clear that that it isn't just White who's actually just going to get to all the dangerous counterplay there. Probably a draw would be your expectation, but chances for both sides there. Oh, that's Bogdan playing another game.
About Hebs and Katarzyna.
So yeah, Hebs has what has happened here? So Katarzyna has taken a pawn on b5. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that black king, I have to say. So I mean, queen c4 is the threat at the moment. So you need to get your rook off that diagonal, or cover the c4 square.
So what if you take on d4?
d4. So I go rook c7. Attacking f7.
Yeah. d7.
And queen b7.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you
Can't
cope with that. So, well, okay, maybe we can be a bit braver. We can go rook a1, rook f7, king g8. And if rook g7, you go king h8. And you're going to claim that there is no mate.
Looks a bit scary, though.
And there is going to be mate
yeah,
there.
okay. Maybe.
So let's have a look.
Maybe.
Let's see. Queen takes d4. So, I mean, oh, no, wait a minute. Queen d4, we've got queen b3. That's just winning on the spot.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, queen d7, at the very least, we've got queen a2 takes and queen f7. So,
yeah, it's clear.
No, you can't take on d4. So you could go rook a1, or you could go rook a3. I don't know. Rook a1 is maybe interesting because I mean, if you go rook a3, I think I'm just going to do my my queen b7, king g7, rook c7. And I mean, this is quite unpleasant, really. I mean, maybe you're surviving, but or d5, queen e8, rook e7 first, maybe in d6. I mean, this is really unpleasant.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've got stuff like queen b2 as well at some stage. So, but rook a1 gives you the chance of going queen d4. The only problem there is that you could just do a queen e5 here, and just completely. And if takes, I just take there, and then I'm going rook c7. I mean, this is a losing ending for black.
Gosh, so really, this is looking bad.
Oh, he's played queen d4. Okay, he's played queen d4.
Done
now
it. Okay.
Queen b3 is just winning on the spot now. So I mean, there's I don't know, maybe even after queen d4. No, that's not true. I was going to say rook c7 was maybe stronger because after king g7, queen b3, but then you can actually go with this rook a1 idea again, takes and there, and king g8. But queen b3 is just completely winning.
So this is where they're at.
Or am I missing something? I mean, that's also possible, but I don't see it.
No, if there was something, what would it be? Knight g4 type things.
Yeah, I just take
but
it.
But all white's moves are with check, so it's.
Yeah, and I mean, white's got loads of time, and I think if you spot the rook a1 idea, then that alerts you to the fact that rook f8 or rook c7 isn't the best, and then you're really going to see this queen b3 idea. I think it's and it looks like Katarzyna's thinking, so it looks like she spotted this queen b3. Yeah.
Oscar's. Did you win? Yes. Well done, Oscar.
Well done. Yeah, we thought you were looking good. Well played, Oscar. Perfect restart to the tournament. So yeah, what can Mark play in this position? I don't know. Rook g2. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I mean, bishop g2, there's knight g4. That's the idea. But of course, White's move is going to be king g2.
King g2.
And black.
Do you think it's just a spite check before he resigns?
Oh, Mark.
Well, has he got it? Something? Check.
He's got a little trick. I mean, the idea, it's not enough, but the idea is takes, check, and then if king h3, then queen d7 check picks up the rook on c8. That's
very good, very good, very good.
both simply king f1 is winning.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just completely winning. I can't believe that the Katarzyna won't find that.
Oh, what if he goes king d7? He hasn't got king. So queen d7 now. Sorry.
Queen d7 now. I don't know, queen c3 maybe, something like that.
We haven't got not any interesting checks. We have a check on h3, but it's not an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean queen c3. We're pinning this knight now, so
yeah.
You know, I mean, there's.
It's gone. I agree.
I mean, also queen c4 would be very strong as well, threatening rook d7. So it's gone. Oh, yeah, Mark just overcooked that one, I think, a little bit, and obviously this rook e3 was a big, quite a big winning attempt, and just didn't turn out right at all. I think maybe he should have in this position. I think maybe playing the rook to e6 and then playing the other rook over, if it was possible. I don't know whether f4 was what he was afraid of. But it was quite a complex position. But just all went horribly wrong there.
Good win for Kata, though.
Fantastic win. No, brilliant. But we thought this was going to be a tough one. Black against Katarzyna. She's a very solid player. It was always going to be a tough one for Mark. And yeah, looking good. So luck is my style. That's been a draw. Agreed a draw. A good hold for Daniel Fernandez after really suffering for a very long time. Tom O'Gorman is winning. Looks like completely winning in actual fact. Rooks on the 7th and lots of passed pawns as well. So excellent play. This one's going to be a thriller towards the end. I think all going to be very sharp here. So black attacking the pawn on f4. All sorts of threats. But white's got this a pawn. So if white could get the queen active somehow and create some confusion there, then that might might actually have something. I mean, queen c7 would be my natural go-to move with white. Just eyeing some pawns and intending to go to push the a pawn. Because if it's really unlikely that that black's going to have a mate, like that. Possibly always a perpetual, but not a mate. So you can sort of just gamble for it. King h1. Ooh, king h1.
Interesting.
What's happening?
Move, because I think there might be things deflecting on f4.
He's covering on e1, so that is. Oops, not bishop g5. We're not going to do that. I mean, d4 looks quite interesting. Bishop d4 and bishop f4. Yes, d4 and bishop f4. Interesting. Because stuff like bishop f1, you've got e3 takes maybe bishop d5 check and rook g8, something like this. Followed by queen h2. I think the attack's coming very quickly now. So I think d4. I think d4 looks very strong. That would be my feeling. White's really going to be struggling now to hold himself. Because it wasn't so bad with the king on g1, because you could run an escape, but with the king on h1, you've really just you put yourself into
and the rook's looser as well, isn't it?
Okay, so Mark's still fighting. Queen to f5.
Rook down though.
Rook down indeed. Yeah, I mean, there's sort of little queen b1 checks and stuff like that. That's what he's hoping for. I think rook b8 would be a very strong move here. just threatening queen c8, for example. And rook b8 also just covers the b1 square and the b5 square. I think that's quite a decent way of playing. And maybe then you could maybe play bishop f3, I don't know, or something like that. That looks quite good. Doing his best just to keep things going. Now, how's Mickey going? Rook d6. So Matthew took the rook on d6.
Yeah.
Mickey didn't take with the f pawn. He took with the queen, which surprises me a little bit. But okay. Yeah, I thought. Mickey took with the queen on e3. That does surprise me, to be honest.
Is he trying to cover that d8 queening square and just wanting to, like go d7 or something?
If queen e7, then he's going to go queen d4. That's the idea. I think there's quite a few more perpetuals with this structure than with the pawn on e3. That was my feeling. So if d7, queen f4 check is just a draw. And I don't really know how you do this, actually. You're just one move too slow. You'd like to go check and then go d7, but you're not quick enough for that. So I'm wondering a little bit about this. Maybe Mickey should play queen e5. That's probably... Then let's just have a check. That would just be winning. So after queen e5, you are threatening queen c5, of course. So this just looks very, very strong indeed. I think.
That fast d pawn is going to be too much.
That's been played. Yeah. Mickey's still got 6 minutes. Matthew Turner's got 1. So looking very, very good there.
How did Ameet? Is Ameet Ghasi still going?
Still going, trying to win rook and knight versus rook and knight.
That was quite drawish, wasn't it?
But
what about Julia Volovic? Board 11 against Arava Muntan Balaji. I think he's UK chess bomber. Because
so doing very well, actually. 2 pawns up. King is a little bit awkward, but should be all right.
Oh, what the threats? Rook g5, bishop.
Exactly. Rook g5, bishop g7 is the threat. So I would think knight e3 check would be the one that you want to do here. Because what are you going to do? If you go king h3, for example, I go knight g4. And we can just actually, now black's actually got some threats. For example, if I go bishop d4, rook there, bishop b2, I go rook there and then mate you on h2. So I would have thought knight e3 check. And it's a bit annoying because, if you go king g1, then I go knight g4, and then I'm going to have rook takes g3. And when I win this h4 pawn, this g3 pawn, then I do actually get a little bit of extra freedom for my king there. So I think knight e3 check is just very strong here. And if you play king f3, then I can just go knight g4, pardon me, and knight e5. So knight e3 check, I think, is virtually winning for black there.
Knight e3 check, king g1, double question mark, rook b1 check.
Rook b1 check is very good indeed. You're absolutely right, Hack Attack. So here we should go knight g4 now. So if rook g5, we go knight g4. So if we go knight g4 now, if we go rook g5, then knight e5 just wins.
Yeah.
And if we go, I'm not quite sure what else you can do really, because if you go bishop there, I'll go probably rook d3. Rook d3 is quite decent. Rook d7 maybe. If you go bishop away, then I just go rook d2 and that wins. Rook d7, but you're not actually even threatening bishop g7 here, so I might just go a move like a5 or something. It's just looking very, very, very pleasant for black here. Should really be winning
Peter Finn closing in for the kill. Mickey Adams has won.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Pawn up now. He's won a pawn.
Gosh.
And oh good lord. I think bishop c5 and bishop a6 is going to be is a pretty obvious way to go. Bishop c5 here, bishop a6 if the king comes to e2. Bishop e6 also very good. To play b3 there. My goodness me, it's going to be 2.5 out of 3 against title players.
Yeah,
incredible. Win for Michael Adams. Michael Adams has won the game there. So well played, Mickey. That was just very smooth, very good. Hard luck, Matthew. But that was obviously always a really tough pairing. So yeah, Ameet going for it. Getting the king active, that's a Tony Miles approach. You know, if ever he really wanted to win an ending and it wasn't really winnable, he just activated his king like a lunatic. He did against me at Ostend.
Did it work?
It did, 1992, I think. And I was, I mean, he probably made himself worse in that ending, but simply, you know, he just, it was just good enough. It
does exude confidence, doesn't it? Bringing your king.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of because he looked very flat, you know, throughout the whole game. He was sort of like this, you know, and doing his stuff, but not really with much conviction. You know, he was coughing and drinking his milk and had his watch by the side. You know, all the stuff. It wasn't really Tony. But then, you know, when he played this series of king f3, king e4, suddenly he was, you know, he was doing this full Tony stuff. And I felt, you know, I really felt that power coming across the board. You know, that he was trying to win. He was showing me he was going to try and win. You know, and all of that. And I went wrong just at the end of the rook ending. So yeah, but it was a very good practical lesson. You know, from Tony. And he could do it like no one else could. It was very, very impressive.
Okay, White's taken this pawn now.
Indeed.
Can Black just get it back with the knight?
Yeah, sorry. Just seeing a result here. Tom O'Gorman has won. Katoma. So Katarzyna Doma has beaten Mark.
Well done, Kata.
And UK Chess Bomber has lost indeed to Julia Bolovic. So that was
results coming in thick and fast.
Results coming in thick and fast. Yeah. Okay. So let's have a little look at. So Wadsworth, there we are. Bishop coming round to b5. This is going to be losing. I think this is really going to be losing for White. Welsh Tiger Ameet Ghasi. So well, Ameet's got a little bit of imbalance.
Yeah. Okay. He took that way. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a little bit of imbalance. You know, that's key. Of course, and this G pawn is not so easy to defend. So
I thought he was going to come around the other way and put his knight on e5.
Could have done, but I think he just decided that he wanted a possible pass pawn and also a possible weak pawn on b3 to attack. I think that was the idea. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, the game goes on. I mean, it's there's no. The one good thing that Gregor Točić has done is he's kept his time going nicely, but Ameet, I don't think Ameet's particularly bothered because he's a superb blitzer, so you know, he's not worried about that. But at least, you know, I mean, for resisting pressure, that's excellent. But there's no, it's these positions, you know, there is no concrete, clear way to a draw. It's simply you're just going to have to try and, you know, keep on trying.
Yeah, because now you mention it, that knight, like Black could attack the knight with the rook, and then if the knight moves,
now
that can take the pawn.
That's a little bit of an odd one. Well, no, you can take the pawn. I mean, you can also go knight c6 in this position, and
look at the rook.
Yeah, and the rook's not. So that was, but because now he's going to play b4. Oh, I think is White aiming for rook and knight versus rook? I think is what he's aiming for. Because I think he's going to play b4 now, knight c6 and b5.
Take.
Yeah, I mean, knight d4 is also possible, but let's say takes knight d4. You can go rook there, rook check.
Yeah, take.
Takes, and rook b7.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
Rook and knight versus rook is normally a draw, but this one's a little bit nasty. You're already very badly placed here.
Yeah.
I mean, knight f5 or something like that, or knight f3. Well, knight f5 probably. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's probably still a draw, this one. But ooh, no, he was a little bit more sensible than that. He went knight c4, knight d6, knight d8, rook b4, king g5. Well, there we are. I mean, it's still the game's going to go on. I mean, full credit to Ameet here for
making something out of it. Really, didn't it? A few moves ago, it just nothing at all.
It's always a very important thing to do, because if you do this, even if you don't manage to make the win, the next time the opponent's going to know, oh my goodness, even if I get some totally equal position, he's going to grind me. So it's a very important thing to do there. Diamond against Harry Grieve. Oh wow, look what's happened here. So d4 did happen, but king h2. Harry made it all happen, but I think he's lost. Queen h5, checkmate.
Oh gosh,
indeed. My goodness me, that was so. Yeah, I mean, I thought somehow that this would be too difficult for black to defend somehow, for white to defend. But yeah, white managed it. Wow. Crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, it was incredible tactics here, because bishop b4, so you just defend, the bishop's covering here, and you can't go bishop d5 because of e6. I've written it now. Curses. I've overwritten the thing there, but yeah, I mean, he just sort of held it in this way, and somehow Harry was just too slow with his stuff. My goodness, amazing! Some shock results today. So king e3. Well, yeah, you've got your king a little bit closer there. So obviously, this is still drawn in principle. But yeah, I mean, essentially now Ameet's got an extra pawn, but now he's got to work from fresh again, in order to start creating something, because obviously White's managed to get his pieces active and stabilize a little bit. So
looks like just 3 games left in progress. So Matthew Wadsworth, Peter Finn, Grzegorz Toszek against Ameet Ghasi, and Oliver Stubbs against Ethan Rathbone-Jones.
Yeah, so this one's a little bit, I guess Matthew's going to have to play king d1 here. And then we can come with a bishop b5 and a bishop d3 afterwards. It's not easy still, but it's looking very good for black here. Ameet, yeah. So now the game starts again now, basically, but and Ameet's just got an extra pawn. That's it. But I think he would have settled for this from there. Now we've got Ethan Rathbone-Jones, who is well, in principle, in trouble here. They should be winning for white.
This one's a win then. White's 2 pawns up, split pass pawns in a rook and pawn ending.
Yeah, in principle,
it's more difficult, isn't it, if they're the F and the H pawns, or the A and the C?
Yeah, that's a draw. This one, though, you're going to be able to give up this pawn if you need to, and push this one on, and you're quite far advanced, really. So the king's actually on the wrong side of the pawn. If it's on the other side, then you've got a bigger checking distance as well. In these king and pawn versus. But here you've only got a very small checking distance, so it's not gonna work. So yeah, this is going to be a win for yeah, you don't really even need to do this really, but I think you could just have. I think you could have just played your king up and just move the pawn up. But okay. I mean, it's all gonna work in the end, I think. Okay, so Matthew Wadsworth putting up his normal, very tough defence here. So you never beat Matthew.
No, until it's over.
You never beat Matthew easily. He's very tough defender. So bishop a2, we're going to go rook a1. The idea being that no, because I think if you go b3, then just knight takes b3 there. That's the trick.
Yeah.
So and bishop b3, we've got bishop h6 there. So I think you need to. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose you should probably, or maybe rook c2. Rook c2 is the one you probably want to do, isn't it? And if knight b3, you can probably just simply go back there, you know, and you just gradually advance forwards. Knight a5, then you go b3. So I'm expecting this to rook c2 has been played.
Okay.
If you go king d1, then I really can go b3. Oh, yeah, I can go b3 then. Because after king d1, b3, knight takes, bishop h6, I've got rook a2 check. That's the key thing. So looking very strong there. Ooh. We've got another one of those roaming kings.
Here comes the king. Okay.
How did that happen? My goodness. How did that happen, actually? Knight b6, e6, rook check. Ah, c5. In we go.
So this is now two pawns.
Yeah, I'm not at all sure what's happening here. I guess you might catch all the pawns on the way back, but this is very risky. Very risky.
This looks like black has good chances now, no?
Well, yeah, it could well be. I mean, I'm wondering about knight f7 check, actually. The idea of going knight f7, king f4, and rook b6. If knight b5, then I've got b7. And if you go rook b6, then I've got king b6. And that must be working. I mean, I must be able to to give up my knight. I mean, I'm saying I must, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure. But a5 here. I mean, the thing is, I can just run after this pawn, get this one first, and you can do all sorts of clever things like that, but it's never enough. So I would think. Oh, he's done it. He's done it. He's going to go rook b6 now. Rook f6. Huh?
Oh.
That's very odd. Rook b6, surely that was working. I'm sure that was going to be good. Rook f6, my goodness. Indeed, a5. I don't understand what that move was about.
Slip. Yeah, it's possible, isn't it?
Oh, good Lord. That might be.
Possible.
That might be. Yeah. The question is this still good enough? Unclear. King g5. Well, I think you've got to go. Are you going to go rook b6?
Then
might go to
a4,
yeah. Oh dear, that was rook f6. It might have been a mouse slip. A4.
So could you take on b7?
Well, I'm a bit nervous about here.
Yeah.
But I think I could maybe go knight c4.
Yeah.
Then go rook c3. Oh. No, I think this looks losing. I think actually, he's gone rook b6, but I think Ameet is going to go a4 now.
So that one move could make all the difference.
Indeed. But I mean, yeah. Again, fantastic credit to Ameet there for making something of absolutely nothing. Was he going down? Oh, he is going down. Yeah, that is absolutely appalling. Yeah. Oh dear. Ameet's played A4. Well, Ameet, respect. That was really excellent play from Black.
So all right. What about just rook takes rook, pawn takes, knight c4? Knight takes.
Knight takes.
Still knight c4. Oh, then you go b5.
Yeah, that's the idea. Then I can go b5. So
all right.
I don't know. I mean, knight there, but I think I go knight d4 then. And then I go b4, and your wild king has. But yeah. I mean, in all fairness, he's gone knight c4. Okay, but now I go rook c3. This just wins on the spot. Rook b4 and then b5. So rook c3 is the move. Yeah, been played. King d6. Oh God!
Oh, the fork at the end.
King d5. Hard to believe. I mean, a3 works, I think, here as well. Yeah, I think a3 simply works. So king c4, a2. So that's winning as well. Yeah, Wadsworth has gone down. Hard luck, Matthew. Well played. Checkmate a lot. Yeah, and Unagi, Oliver Stubbs did beat Ifan Rathbone-Jones. So our last game is Welsh Tiger, Ameet Ghasi, and is Ameet going to play a3 there? There are plenty of other moves, I think, as well, but I think that a3, that's the one. Excellent technique.
This is the last game remaining.
So the key point is, the nice point is rook b7, we go rook a4, and everything's protected, and the a pawn is going along. So yeah, I think I'm afraid this has gone. We see queen versus, not even queen versus rook, I think, actually, because if you go a3, sorry, I'll just take the move back, because I think you go king c4, a2. You're not actually even going to make it for you're not going to win the pawn, or black's going to protect the knight. So yeah, it's I think not even that. I don't think. Yeah, I think I don't know what the best practical chance is here. Wow, is somebody thumping somebody else at your house?
That's the basketball in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Sounds like there's a boxing match going on. There we are. Whack. So, yeah, White probably can't believe what's happened to him. So rook b7, and now rook a4. Exactly. And I think it's going to be resignation. I can't really see.
Thank you, Waldsman Driffield.
It's going to be rook b1, isn't it? I think, indeed. And then it's going to be a2. I think it's the king. The king just can't get close. I mean, that's the end-0-1.
Black
well
one.
done. Yeah, black one. Well done, Ameet Ghasi. Very impressive game. Hard luck, well fought, Gregor Torchek. But yeah, I mean, full respect to Ameet. That was a very impressive technical and also character performance. So, Natasha, give us the roundup on the scores.
Well, a lot of decisive results in this tournament too. So we had just 3 draws this round, which was Daniel Fernandez, Hackattack v Bogdan, and Jude Shearsby against Zovani. The rest were all decisive results. Lots of white wins and lots of black wins actually today. But in the lead, sole leader now is Michael Adams on 4 out of 4. And we have Peter Finn on 3.5 out of 4. And he has, he drew with, which round was it? Bogdan, beat Mark Hebden, and has now beaten Matthew Wadsworth. So he's absolutely on fire at the moment. On 3, we have Matthew Turner. We also have Ameet Ghasi. Also Tom O'Gorman and Mohammed Ayan Ishmael and William Claridge Hansen and Tristan Cox. All of those are on 3 points. Yes, so very few draws today. Lots of wins, and tomorrow I'm sure we will see Peter Finn, who is due white, against Michael Adams, due black on top board.
Exactly. So do join us tomorrow for our streaming schedule.
Yes, our provisional schedule is juniors in the morning and the open in the evening. There are things that might mean we have to change that around, but that's our provisional plan.
And what time would the juniors be then in the morning? Is that 9:50?
Early start, so we would start 9:50 for a 10 a.m. start.
My goodness, that's the dedication that we have will be missing part of our beauty sleep in order to do that. So fantastic. Well, thanks everyone for watching the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. I think we had some great games there, a few shocks, and well, tomorrow we'll see qualifier Peter Finn taking on Michael Adams.
Looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching.
Thanks for watching.